You're listening to Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. Comics, television, movies, and more. If it impacts fan culture, we have something to say about it. And now, your hosts, Jordan, Cliff, and Seth.
Hello to all of you out there, and welcome back to another episode of Ka-Pow. My name is Jordan Lowe.
Cliff Barnes.
I'm Seth.
It finally happened.
It did.
It finally happened.
It did happen.
Disney Plus.
You're still tingling.
I am a little bit.
Does it log how many hours you've viewed?
It
Would
should.
you not want to know?
I probably don't want to know.
I assume it is just on all the time on a loop. Everything.
It really is. And the funny thing is out of all four of us in my house, I have probably, I don't know. I definitely haven't watched the most out of the four of us. Like, my son has watched the most. He is, he got a new job recently, so he's been off for a couple weeks, and this thing came online, and I think that's all he's done is just watch Disney stuff, especially the animated movies, trying to get, vacation's right around the corner. I'm 2 weeks away from today, this recording, so we're all a little on edge, ready to go, and
right?
Yeah.
Go down there and see some Christmas stuff.
That's right.
So you have been on this since the day they announced it.
Mm-hmm.
You've heard what everyone hoped it was. You've heard what everyone thought it was. So what is the reaction now that they know it is? I assume everyone's happy.
Yeah, we're really pleased with it
in the Disney
as a whole
crowd community.
Yeah.
Barnes family.
Exactly. Same thing. I really thought going into it, having my own experience with the Disney company and their websites through travel sales, I expected the whole thing to crash and burn the first day. In a matter of 20 minutes of everybody logging on, I thought it'll crash and it won't be up for at least 24 hours, which I woke up at 3 a.m. because it started on a Tuesday, so I woke up at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday, and just to see if it was available. Of course it was, so I quickly downloaded my app to my bedroom TV and my phone.
That's the thing, you weren't allowed to
Right.
Everyone had to do it at the same day.
I got my because I got it for free for a year because of having Verizon, but you couldn't sign up till that freaking day.
You couldn't download the app or anything. So,
gee whiz.
So I checked it at 3 a.m. It was available. So I quickly downloaded it, logged in my bedroom, and just
I was checking at 3 a.m.
I didn't watch anything.
Did you look over there? Every light in the house was on.
No, I just kind of scrolled through, made sure, it was I just want to see what what it looks like and what I can see. Immediately, the Mandalorian pops up. I was like, I'm going to save that one. and that was it. And then I got up that day and went to work. And by the time I got to work, it was kind of up and down, on and off all that day. Some people were having a lot more trouble than others. I didn't have any major, I had a couple times it kind of went off and on, but came right back on. I didn't have any major issues with it. But immediately, first thing I watched was the first Forky short.
What's going on? Where am I? Why is it like
How
that?
high is that?
Who's that?
Why do you...
Can I swim?
Could that be better?
Why are you talking to me?
Forky asks a question. I don't know.
So Forky,
I didn't make it very far into it. He started saying what the woman says or whatever, and he said it too many times. I stopped it.
That was the second one.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah. So that was the first. I watched it right before I had left for work, and then I just kind of went from there. But yeah, we've all it's pretty much all we're watching at this point for the most part. For the most part,
get rid of everything else. They're just gonna.
Yeah, well, there's so much on there though that
there's a lot on there. I saw people complaining a couple times where they're like, oh, that's on there, and they click on it and it says
coming.
Like, hey,
just a little
that
teaser.
would have made me mad too.
Yeah.
A purely unscientific study of my Facebook friends. That's all anyone was talking about the day it launched.
Yeah.
And saying, "Whoa, look at this!" And just like, weird. I haven't seen that since I was whatever.
Yeah.
And a few that were like, "Oh, come on, this isn't on there." I was like, "It's been up for 3 hours."
Right.
And they're like, "How is this show not on there? How is this movie not on there?" It's like,
Yeah.
give them time. And I saw a thing today. It was something about they have like 25% of what Netflix does. It's like, wait, Netflix has been around for a decade.
Right.
It's like you have to give them a second.
You can. There's a thing on the app. I think it is. You can suggest things.
Yeah, if you go into like the help menu, you can request through the help menu anything you want to see that they'll take into consideration and for the future. I love that. Netflix, you can't do that. You can't request anything. So,
By disc in the mail.
right. Yeah. So I've as a whole, we were just so excited about it, so happy with it. We haven't had any major issues on our end. I know other people have reported different things. But yeah, I think it's great. It's, it's just so close to home for us that I don't know if we're a little too biased, but
Oh yeah, you guys have no perspective.
no.
I'll tell you, I'm happy with it. I'm happier with it than I expected to be.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
as somebody, I love Disney, but I give them a short leash, But I'm happier than I thought I would be with it.
Right. So, and it doesn't, hurt that.
Worth every penny.
Yeah, exactly. That you're getting it a year free. So, as a lot of people are.
And from my end, I've watched exactly 2 shows,
Right.
and I've scrolled through a lot of things, and I'm just, that'd be fun to watch. But there's nothing that's like,
Yeah. Oh,
I've got to get.
I'm
to
going to
that.
be. I think. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of stuff on there I'll never ever watch. Like I that's kind of how I was looking at it, thinking when this comes out, it's going to have all this Disney stuff on it that I'm never going to watch. But really, there's a handful of things that I do want to watch, and I think that's going to tide me over till all this Marvel stuff comes out.
And even the things, the gummy bears and the tailspins, I'm happy they're on there.
Yeah.
But I don't ever see myself going back and
Right,
watching it. Like, it's cool they're on there. The people who love them can watch it, or a new generation can find it. But it's just, I've.
I think some of it is we remember the nostalgia of it, and that's fine. And you know what, you put it on, start streaming, whatever, and maybe you think, hey, this isn't quite what I remembered, but that's okay. Nobody says you have to sit there and watch through the whole thing. It's just, but it's there for anybody.
It's close to the vault as they have basically opened the vault.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly though, I just was so turned on by the Mandalorian that the handful of stuff I want to watch is just the Star Wars stuff. Just give me. Nick and I watched A New Hope the other day, and I loved every minute of it.
It looks fabulous.
It looks really great, and I'm just like, I wish I had a 4K TV.
Yeah,
but I was like, I enjoyed watching it so much, and we're trying to find time to watch all of the movies before Rise, and I'm just eating it up.
Yeah.
Went back, started some Clone Wars.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh man,
I am at peak Star Wars right now.
Yeah.
I seriously am.
Yeah. So I think I was at peak Star Wars yesterday when I watched that 3rd episode of The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
So.
We need to talk about this Mandalorian stuff. It's better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. So, Jordan, you're it's just Star Wars guy.
At this table, yeah. Like, I love Star Wars.
Yeah,
but at this table,
At this table.
kick me out.
You've watched all 3 episodes of Mandalorian,
Yes.
correct? Okay.
Yes. I have been adopted by the Barnes family.
Well, that's the great thing about Disney Plus is you get a lot of profiles.
Cousin Jordan.
I used to have a Cousin Jordan profile on my Netflix.
So, just expectation-wise, did you really have anything going into it?
I thought it looked good. The trailers
Yeah.
all looked neat. You know, I'm a sucker for Boba Fett as much as the next
Exactly.
guy. Like,
I feel so cliche, but I was one of the bazillions that just loved the look of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
and it seemed like a story. You're not as into the non-Skywalker stuff, but to me it's like, yeah, here's a story that's its own thing. And it didn't seem bogged down. It didn't seem like an origin story for somebody. Or, remember the guy from this? Well, what happened when he spun off for his own adventure? Like, the Star Wars, when they get bogged down into that stuff is when I start losing interest. Mm-hmm. But to have a totally new character, which we're always going to have familiar... You know, we're going to see that,
right.
Oh, that's the alien from that, or what, you know. It's always going to be familiar, but looking at it from a new place and a new time frame we haven't really explored... I was excited. Yeah, I really wanted to see it.
Yeah, it's funny because I can't say I was more excited for The Mandalorian than any of the other things that have been announced, because I was never a Boba Fett guy. I was always, I liked the heroes. I love Han and Chewie and Luke and Leia and all this, but I was never that anti-hero Boba Fett. Seek him out, he looks so cool. None of that. Like, it's just, hey, it's Boba Fett. Okay. Whatever, like it just wasn't that.
Yeah,
as a
Boba
character,
Fett.
I totally see that. You are totally that guy.
Yeah.
You are. Yeah,
But-
it's just funny, like your Halloween costume.
right?
Forever. That's you. That's
Yeah.
I'm one of the good guys, right? Let's make this clear.
That's exactly right. But the first episode of this just immediately blew me away. I mean, and I don't want to be, because you know we've talked. We like
Oh,
the
wait,
sequels.
let's stop.
What?
We're spoiling The Mandalorian.
A lot.
So that's going to happen. So if you have not watched The Mandalorian yet, and somehow you have made it through your Facebook and everything without seeing any spoilers, you know, you need to go watch it and then come back.
Yeah.
Baby Yoda. Sarah's got it out there. It's out there in the open.
Yeah.
I'm shocked it went like 2 or 3 days
Yeah.
before I started seeing it everywhere.
Yeah.
And then I could not stop seeing it.
They are really not. It was such a big deal. They knew how big of a deal it was going to be that they're willing to lose a lot of money in plushies for Christmas because they would. You know,
Yeah, they could have put it
could've
out
made
there.
ton. I would have got one.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, they could have very easily put it out there a month ago on that Triple Force Friday and just ruined the entire thing.
Or just had them ready right now, but just the fact of having them produced would have let the cat out of the bag.
Yeah, somewhere.
So I'm just so when I saw their T-shirts are starting to
Yeah.
pop up now, and there will be stuff, but they're not going to be able to make the money they would have at Christmas. I love that thing.
Yeah. And it could have went so the wrong way. Like,
my God.
everybody could have just been like, what the hell? I hate that.
Today when Nick woke up, I messaged
It could have
you.
been like the original Sonic the Hedgehog design, where the whole world just says, no thanks.
Yeah.
right.
Utter
Yeah.
revolt.
Yeah. Nick woke up, walked out, said, we're going to watch The Mandalorian. I have spoken. And I was like, okay, finally, he's up. I've been up since 6, let's do this. When that thing's ears and peach fuzz were blowing in the wind, I'm just grinning ear to ear the whole time. I was like, this is everything I want in Star Wars in one thing. It's just like, I love Boba Fett, and this guy's like better than Boba Fett. And that cute little thing is like that is it for me as far as what cute. They've manufactured the perfect thing. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. In the cockpit, him taking the ball off the thing and him it's not a toy. I was like, oh, there's been so many complaints about this faceless thing.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes, there are a lot of critics, but ones I respect their opinion that hate that you can't see his face. It's just they can't connect to, there's no humanity to it. And I'm just like, no, I don't ever want to. I mean, I know he's going to eventually take his mask off.
Right, but
or
if he didn't,
we'll see probably that he has already, even though he's saying he hasn't. And
Oh, you just blew my mind.
yeah, I did. And I'm just like, no, I love that he's so hard and has to go, is taking care of this just the cutest little thing. I just love that dynamic so much.
Yeah, so starting with the first episode, like I was sitting there at work today, and I was like, well, it's getting late afternoon. I should probably like try and make some notes up. I was like, I'll just throw, just general thoughts, bullet points, statements. I was like, okay, episode 1, what happened? And I was just like, what do I remember? I was like, I just remember like the aliens at first, because I was just sitting there going, there's that guy, there's that guy, there's that guy.
I was a little not loving Horatio Sands as the blue whatever.
The first episode didn't blow
was he
me
a
away.
Rhodian or what was he? What
No,
was
I don't know what he was.
I don't know what he was, but he was so jokey.
Yeah.
To me, like these first 3 almost
Act 1.
quote unquote the first episode. Like
Yeah.
if they had put it out as a movie, to
Yeah, an hour
start,
and a half,
like
yeah.
that where 3 ends. That's like, okay, that's the inciting incident that kicks off everything else. So yeah, that first less than half an hour, it's just like it's not enough. Like after this long build up and waiting. So yeah, I can't say it blew me away right out of the gate, but it's definitely got me now.
But yeah, and who were the aliens? Like what was?
Well, I was immediately right off the top of my head, I was like, okay, squid heads, Ryis, and Rhodians, which were like Greedo. Those were and of course Jawas and stuff, but those were the 3. I was like, I had that guy, I had that, Return of the Jedi figures, and the one thing that character did give us, the blue guy,
Carbonite.
no,
Wait,
before
yeah.
that,
Well,
before
okay,
that, Life Day.
Yeah. I was hoping to be free for Life Day. Maybe even get home to the family.
Oh yeah, he did.
Official Star Wars canon. Life Day has been mentioned.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
They've done a few things in there that they sprinkled stuff in there. I'm kind of curious when we see Rise, what they will have laid the groundwork in this.
Because it was funny because you mentioned the other day about, we were talking about Baby Yoda, and I didn't see Baby Yoda in Force Awakens, and that thought had not even crossed my mind.
I was like trying to break it to people. Hey, just so you know, this thing probably doesn't make it to 55.
Yeah. So, but yeah, there were just so many familiar aliens throughout the thing.
And it is set
5 years after Jedi.
post Jedi.
Empire is
the
fallen.
Empire is fallen, and we're sort of in a transitional, more lawless.
Yeah.
There is something so cool about these cruddy looking stormtroopers. That is so cool. Post Jedi stormtroopers is a cool
Which
concept.
to me, it's right there. I mean, obviously it's a Western, but that's the Western setting, like post Civil War.
Yeah.
Mercenaries.
Soldiers didn't know what to do, so you'd see all those old Westerns guys in.
I would flock to
Confederate
Werner
coats and
Herzog
stuff.
also. I'd just
Yeah.
tell me what to do.
So it fits the Western archetype for sure. Post-war,
Right.
Yeah.
And also, if if you have some of the original stormtroopers and they're looking a little yellowish,
You're ready.
a little dirty,
You're all ready.
hey man, it's cool. They're just from the Mandalorian. So yeah, that was something. Another big thing silly thing that I noticed when he goes into the armorer.
Yeah.
Her gold helmet has little horns on top. Mm-hmm. That is straight out of Clone Wars.
Oh, okay.
At one point, Darth Maul took over. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Darth Maul took over. I don't know if it was the entire planet Mandalore or a certain sect of Mandalorians. But anyways, the followers of Maul would wear the little horns on his head, on their helmets. And she had the little horns.
That's cool.
because he's got horns.
Exactly.
Look at you.
I'm putting 2 and 2 together.
Oh, man. Can't get anything by him. I learned something I had never realized. I don't they've done it in that episode and this one showing when he goes to the armorer, they show the Mandalorian's skull, that symbol that we've seen forever. Everybody knows that represents Mandalorian.
Right.
But I didn't know until this what it was. Do you know what it is?
The animal or whatever?
Yeah.
I don't.
The giant something they referenced. We used to ride giant
mythosaurs.
Mythosaurs.
Oh, from the holiday special. That wasn't that.
I don't know, but the whole thing was
they
rode. The legend is they used to ride mythosaurs. Basically, we used to ride dragons.
Yeah.
You know, it's a concept that's a little vague. We don't really know what they look like or what, but that apparently they used to ride mythosaurs, and Nick Nolte tells him that, so it must be true. And I found out that's what the skull is. I was like, oh, blew my mind. It's just amazing to go this long and not know something like that. You know, just knowing, I just never even thought what was that a skull.
Yeah, the Mandalorian.
But it doesn't get bogged down in that stuff.
No.
It's there if you're excited by it and want to see it. But it's not a half hour of, let me tell you the history of Mandalore.
No, all I want to do is just sit and watch you make armor while he has flashbacks. Like, they've done that twice now and really wrote it out, and I'm like, I'm okay with this. You're making Mandalorian armor for a guy just waiting there in his mask. He's never taken off. Right. Liar.
Yeah. And
liar. What else was in that?
What if he sneezed? I mean, he's got to take it off.
He's got to be disgusting under there, first off. That's so gross. I always think it's like wearing your football helmet your whole life. But he went and he went and saw Chubb's Fett.
Yeah.
The appropriately named Carl Weathers. Got his bounty.
Yeah, yeah.
Went to go get all he knew was he was 50 years old.
Mm-hmm. The creature was 15 years old.
Right. Went out, met Nick Nolte, Ugnaught, which was great.
Excuse me. Ugnolte.
Okay, there you go. when I saw Nick Nolte was going to be in it, I have to admit I was not looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I thought this is going to be something stupid. Instead, he's one of the best characters on the show. He's so great. His voice is perfect for that, and he does a great job. And
I need to go back and watch Empire? But didn't the Ugnaughts just like make pig noises and stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. It's not just me then. Okay,
well, they had already spoken, and he. Learns to ride the what? What are those? Blurgs, that's right. And you're like, I love that. I love it because all I'm thinking is, okay, there's something special about these creatures. They're the only way you can get there. And sure enough, as soon as they hop around.
So if you're not aware or haven't seen the 1985 made-for-TV movie Ewoks: The Battle of Endor, that was the first time we saw a blurg. They were from the Ewok movie. That's where they originated. So only somebody like Dave Filoni could pull that one out.
I wonder his cowboy hat. And then they go out there and they get to the little town or whatever where these people, somebody's got the mark. He follows his fob. Got his fob from Werner.
And they drop all this so effortlessly. I get what that is and what it does. I didn't have to have a tutorial. You didn't have to explain it. It's like you're just laying all this out in such an efficient way to just get to the story, and I'm so pleased by it.
And also, before that happened, did anybody else notice the doctor guy, his uniform?
Yeah, I didn't know what it was.
Okay,
what was it? He had some shades on. It was a little dark in there. He had shades on.
He had like 70s sunglasses on, but somebody pointed out to me that it looked very, very similar to the uniforms the clones wore on Kamino, which of course would indicate, okay, if this guy is from maybe he's from Kamino or some type of cloner, which would make sense of where the baby Yoda comes from. Of course, Yoda goes to get the clone army from Kamino. All ties in.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I just I don't know the uniforms well enough, but I'm trying to think of what that could possibly mean. I mean, are they trying to clone Yoda.
Maybe
Yeah, I
they've
think they
already
did.
cloned
Yeah.
him, and he's
Yeah.
the one that got away. And they're going to open a door at some point, and there's going to be like hundreds of baby Yodas, and people's heads are going
gosh.
to explode. There'll be like gremlins running around.
Yeah.
One with a popcorn bucket on its head, one with 3D glasses, and you have to buy every version of it.
Taika Waititi.
Yeah, we got Taika Waititi playing IG-11, which was and just getting to see with modern technology what they can do with that character. That's
Because he was just he didn't even move in Empire.
Right.
He was a stationary robot
Right.
in a quick scene of the bounty hunters. IG-88.
yeah.
And
And now we got him in assassin droid form spinning around, constantly ready to pull a pin,
yeah.
which was amusing. And it that was a very good sequence, and you kind of saw it coming, him taking over the
Right.
gun, but the huge surprise at the end. We get to the very end, and he goes in with his fob. Oh, it's a baby, and
It's a child.
it's a baby Yoda, and then he
just that
IG-11
image.
wants to shoot it because it's like just another reason for him to hate droids. Yeah, I love that. And you hear the gunshot. Oh, but he shot IG-11 and
Right.
takes the baby in his little floating carriage, which is great. And then they do some ET.
Yeah. The
stuff.
finger out. Yeah.
Oh, I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. I had so many thoughts about this first episode. I watched it, I think, 3 times.
Yeah, I watched it.
And-
I watched it twice, and then Nick was ready to watch it.
Just trying to take it all in because there was so much happening. And then I had the thought of like when they go into like the town to like get the baby Yoda, I'm like, are these guys protecting the baby Yoda that they've just destroyed? Are these good guys? Like,
I guess.
yeah, we don't know.
I guess I'm not sure what was going on. And the thing that got I was impressed with was, besides throughout the episode, I had hardly paid attention to this, but till the credits start rolling, and I'm like, this music is phenomenal.
Yep.
This soundtrack is great, and it's not Star Wars.
No.
Yeah, but his theme song is so good. And while I'm like sitting there listening to it, they show you all this concept art at the end of every episode. And I was like, I would hang any of those on my wall. They're all gorgeous.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah. First episode directed by Dave Filoni. I did not realize that as I was watching it. It made so much more sense after I knew that. But I assumed it was Jon Favreau. But he is just the showrunner. Filoni came in.
He wrote it.
Yeah. Filoni came in and directed the first episode. Immediate hit. I think everybody loved it.
It's been quite some time since we've all
Agreed.
Star Wars fans have all agreed on something. It's nice.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then we got the second episode. Got more Nick Nolte. Sorry, Nolte.
Ugnulty.
What? I don't even remember how that one started. He took the. Oh yeah. He got get caught by Jawas. They got caught up with the Jawas.
They strip his ship out as he's getting the baby
yeah,
Yoda. He comes back and they're running off in the sand crawler, which apparently is a fortress. Who knew?
What a great sequence that was.
Oh,
It was amazing.
Yeah, it was great. And then ends up, when he gets hurt, he's at the campfire, healing himself, rainbow style. I thought he was going to pour some freaking solder on there. He's trying, and baby Yoda tries to heal him. Little force heal. He just doesn't even notice that's what he's doing. He's just like,
Yeah. Yeah, it was funny because my wife isn't the biggest Star Wars fan. She tolerates it more or less. But I was like, when it came out, I was like, okay, we're going to sit down, big TV in the living room, and we're going to watch The Mandalorian. And as soon as that baby Yoda hit, she was like, I love this. This is my life right now. I just love this, and that's all that matters. So when episode 2 came on, she was all on board. She was like, yeah, let's watch it. So we're all, watching it as a family, which is such a different experience for me when I'm watching Star Wars. It's normally me or just me and Cooper.
right.
But yeah, that rolling fortress, The only thing was, did the Jawa eyes bother anybody? Like,
I heard that the eyes were a different color.
they looked a little red.
Yeah, I just watched Star Wars and I still don't notice much of a difference. They were freaking Jawas.
I went back and watched A New Hope, and I mean, it didn't bother me really. I mean, they still seem just like Jawas.
Yeah.
It's the same language, the same phrases, all that fun stuff. But
Suka!
but yeah, I just noticed it immediately. I was like, why are their eyes so red? But I was like, maybe it's a different tribe or something.
Yeah, I mean,
whatever.
Yeah.
At the so yeah, he goes and has to go back to Ugnolte because his ship is gone,
Right.
except for the skeleton.
Yeah.
And
They went up there, figured out they wanted him to get this egg,
yeah,
which was like a nice little quest.
That's one of the only criticism of it. And I haven't done real deep dives on this, but people are like, "Oh, he killed a bunch of Jawas. That's mean." Like, "Oh, he was really violent." And like, yeah, he's a bounty hunter. So like, people aren't quite on the. I don't know if I think he's an anti. He's not yet, at least. He was not an anti-hero even.
Yeah.
He's a bounty hunter.
Right.
exactly. And of
He's
course,
going to disintegrate a fool if they
Hey,
Right, with that
somebody
rifle.
has to die at some point. I don't think anybody died in the third episode, it seems like.
but I thought right. But that also justified to me like that line in Empire when Vader tells no disintegrations to Boba Fett, and I was like, okay, that's why we just saw
in the third episode they say, well, he's disintegrating. Right? The well, what was the animal with the one horn? We'd never seen this.
Mudhorn.
yeah.
What was it?
Mudhorn.
Oh, it makes sense. It was muddy.
Yep.
Yeah, it's got a horn.
Big hairy.
But that
guy.
was so cool. That was such a cowboy, like getting thrown off the bull type thing. Besides that from the first episode, but this just going up against that, he's slung with mud, just holds his knife out like just I'm gonna die.
Yeah,
You
this is
know,
all I
that's
have. Yeah, I'm done.
And Baby Yoda saves the day, but it was still a little odd. It's like, well, if I'm given the chance, I know exactly where to stab it with this toothpick to kill this enormous creature.
Yeah.
But gets the egg, takes it back to Jawa, and they just tear it open and start eating it, which is great. Like,
Very unexpected. They were so excited about that egg.
There's some song, I was just looking for it to tell you to play, but there's a song where Jawas are singing about that. I forget what it's from. Anyway, if I think of it, I'll send you a message. But they, it was great. It was good.
So he gets the parts back to his ship.
Yeah.
The Ugnolte helps him put it back together. So and then he's gonna take Baby Yoda off to get his money.
Yeah.
His Beskar steel.
Yeah. Which we forgot to mention. Yeah, he did get that one little shoulder piece. And you're like, oh, that's a fun thing to do. Just slowly build up your armor. We're thinking this is going to take forever. Because there's no way in my mind that he's going to take this thing back and get all this Beskar steel he was promised.
Right.
There's no way that's going to happen. So in this third episode, I watched it today. I'm like so thrilled by all the cuteness of that thing at the beginning, and then he gives it to him, and I was just distraught. I could not believe when they wheeled that thing in the other room. He's just looking back at him.
Yeah.
And he's just staring. All you see is the helmet staring back. I'm just like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll be honest. When they brought out that ice cream maker, I had to stop. I was just like, oh my God.
What was that? Who? There.
In Empire, okay, if you don't know,
Yeah, I remember it being in something.
in Empire on Bespin, when Lando is evacuating the city, and everybody's there's a scene where everybody's just
one
running
guy's
around.
got it.
One guy runs by with an ice cream maker.
Yeah.
On screen for 1 second?
Yes,
Maybe.
Yes,
Yeah.
But back when they were making the original movies, the prop guys, the idea was it was a lived-in universe, so they would try to find things that we have that looked kind of funky, repurpose them, like, oh, that looks kind of like it could be from space and does something, and yeah, it's just this random guy running by with an ice cream maker, and it was always a huge joke, and then suddenly there it is.
And because it's Star Wars, That guy has a whole backstory.
You're right.
I looked it up. Did you know anything about
I've
it?
heard 2 or 3 backstories on this.
I'm sure it was a novel or something. Abridged version that Bespin had been doing trading with the rebels. So that was like the computer core that had all the rebel information. So he had to go destroy it before the Empire could find out where all the rebel bases were. So that guy is a true hero of the rebellion.
Only Star Wars. But I did. I mean, I had to stop, and I was just like, sit there for a minute, and like, 39 years, we wondered about this ice cream maker, and in 30 seconds, we have an answer.
Now we know what they do. So he decides, hey, I'm still a bounty hunter.
Yep, it's going.
It's just like he's like, I got to get this armor. He goes and gets. First off, we see he goes to get it done, and there's like a bunch of freaking Mandalorians hiding underground or whatever. I was like, I was not expecting that either. Mm-hmm. And what was so cool about them is they're like all different shapes and sizes, and they're not all just Boba Fett's.
Right.
You know?
Right.
He is his own thing, and he may not even seem to be as experienced as some of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were like bullying him or trash talking him a little bit.
Yeah. Now,
you look what you're doing. We're trying to hide, and you're out there just flaunting it around.
In your Clone Wars watching, did you start at the beginning, or did you just kind of I watched the movie.
Okay. And then I picked up. Then I looked up a watch list.
Okay. Yeah. There's a whole Mandalore thing there.
Yeah. So I'm picking and choosing. I'm not gonna miss anything big, but there is some fluff in there.
Yeah.
I know I don't need to watch it.
Yeah, so...
But he gets a whole suit. He goes full Django. I was like, Nick, he's... Obviously, that is such a cool callback to me. I'm like, okay, so Django had a whole suit of this Beskar steel, because that's what he's wearing.
Right.
That was cool to me. I was like...
And immediately I'm thinking, the toys we've seen are all based on the first 2 episodes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they've released a whole line of toys, and like now he already has a variant look to him.
Yeah, and I'm like, is he going to keep this, or is he going to have to sell it all to do something? Who knows? But that was very cool. I was not expecting it. I really like I was like, he's going to keep the crap. He's going to have the crappy suit. You know, that's his.
Yeah, that's his thing.
Design.
Yeah.
You know, but.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Nick's
like, no, he's got to get the cool suit, and now he goes back and gets the kid. Now that he's heavily protected and stuff. I was like, oh, okay.
First he goes back to the bar or whatever, where the guild, the Carl Weathers,
which we got a lot of good stuff. A lot of
well,
I love that. I love that we find out. Oh yeah, well first Werner's like, hey, everybody's chasing after. I hired everybody, Everybody's got a fob.
Yeah.
Which paid off later, which paid off very cool.
Huge.
In a very cool way, just to watch everybody's fob light up.
Anybody notice Constable Zuvio at the bar? Do you know who Constable Zuvio is? He was from Force Awakens.
I know that name. I know we've made a joke about it.
It was a big joke because it was one of the big figures that came out before the movie, and everybody had to get a Constable Zuvio. And then the guy, he was in like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
I think they kill him off. The Knights of Ren kill him off in 2 seconds. Everything else of him was cut from the movie. And it was always a joke after that, like, Constable. We had to get that Constable Zuvio. And then here he is standing at the bar. And with all the other bounty hunters, and I was looking at it, I was like, "Is that Constable Zuvio?" And then I had to look it up, and I was like, "Holy crap, it is!" All right, finally, this guy gets his due here. Yeah. So then he, on his way, he picks up a bounty puck to get a Mon Calamari of some sort, and then is going to take off in his ship, and then he decides he's going to go back and get the child, get the Yoda.
Yeah, and he asks what they were going to do with the kid, but and all that stuff. You're not supposed to ask because it's the bounty code, the guild the code of the guild. You don't ask what.
Just do the job.
We represent the Mandalore Guild.
Goes back. He goes, sees Nick's like, he was pretty dark. When he went over to the trash or wherever, he's like, "Oh my god, that thing's gonna be in the trash." And I was like, "If there is a Baby Yoda puppet in the trash," I was like, "I am."
You just see his little feet.
I was like, "I am going to throw up." And then they did just less than that for it to be his carrier in there. I was like, "Oh, okay, that was well done." I was like, I'm gonna kind of miss the carrier floating around. I don't know. Are you gonna carry that little baby around all the time?
Oh, he needs a little backpack,
Bjorn,
like
baby
like
Bjorn.
like Luke on Dagobah.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. But he
he breaks in. We get the Jabba's palace eye thing sticks back out again.
Yeah.
Rips it off and then has to go in and fight a bunch of stormtroopers.
Which was awesome. And
Yeah.
he got to use all his weapons. He had just got the little whistle things or whatever they were called.
whistling birds.
Well, yeah. That was all cool. All using his vibro knife and vibro stuff, which is that is out of the RPG.
Okay.
Like the original RPG was one of the weapons or whatever. I was like, that's a vibro knife. It's like, that all that stuff is great. I guess what it's such, we've all watched all these westerns all our lives, and you feel yourself predicting what's going to happen, this, that. It's like, and still they surprise me with stuff like the Mandalorian's coming at the end. I was not expecting that.
I was so into it.
Yeah.
So into it. It didn't even cross my mind. I mean, normally, like you said, you can predict. Like, you're thinking ahead of what's going to happen. Yeah. Okay, just waiting on it. And then when they fly up...
It's like Iron Man 3.
I was blown away by it. I just could not believe what and I don't even like Mandalorians. And I was just like, this is awesome.
You just haven't met the right Mandalorian.
Yeah,
apparently.
exactly.
That's what it was all these years.
But they all get basically the same bounty they had before, because there must be some sort of tracker. Well, I don't know how they do it. I don't know how it works.
Doesn't matter,
because you get the fob and you get your thing, and it tracks to the person, but I don't know how it tracks them. But they're obviously not tracking. They're tracking the kid, I would think.
Yeah.
Because they still all have that fob for him, and then they go. He has to get that droid to drive the little skiff
Speeder
thing, and
you don't need that scene of Werner Herzog going, "Find him! Send everybody under we have." No, like the fob just light up, you get what just happened. Like the alarm has gone out,
like walking,
and everybody's after.
Should I run?
Yeah. And you get the end of John Wick 2, where he gets like the bounty on him, and everyone he looks at isn't a secret assassin.
Yeah, that's right. I thought Common was going to jump out. But that was all. It was all good, and then he, eventually faces off against Chubb's Fett and gets on the Razor's Edge or whatever it's called.
Razor Crest.
Razor Crest. That's
Razor
what it is.
Crest.
It's on there,
which you have now ruined for me by pointing out. It looks a lot.
Yeah, it looks like the Spaceballs.
Like Spaceballs
RV.
Yeah,
I did.
Yeah,
at least in silhouette.
Yeah, it sure does. And then, but he shoots him, and how well that was set up with the Beskar steel. He's like, "Yeah, I got me a little too." Puts it in his breast pocket, and then when he shoots him, he's okay because he's got that. That's great. Which I knew he signed on for season 2 actually. So
yeah, okay,
he's gonna make it.
We all do now. But yeah, I mean, in the course of 3 weeks, the phenomenon of everybody in the world saying or posting, "I have spoken," completely wiped away in just half an episode to "This is the way."
Yeah, well, they repeated it enough in that one scene. This is the way. This is the way.
But it pays off so well in that when he tells him to get out of here, and he's, "You're going to have to find another place. This is the way." Yeah. I was just like, oh.
I really liked at the end when he's flying away, and the one guy, Mandalorian, flies up beside him, full Iron Man. It's such a Jon Favreau.
Oh, no. This was not Iron Man. This was the frickin' Rocketeer. When he salutes, there's a scene of the Rocketeer. He salutes the guy. I mean, it was.
I was thinking like War Machine or something. It just looked. I was just thinking like Favreau, Iron Man to me. But when he's like, "I'm gonna get me one of those," it's like nice.
Yeah,
because I've been watching 3 episodes, and I had thought multiple times, if you had a jetpack, this wouldn't be a problem.
right.
Like Boba Fett always had a jetpack.
Yeah.
So it was great. Great. 3 episodes in, loving it. I declared Watchmen peakiest. But I don't know. I love Star Wars so much. I like this even more. I was like, I'm just so good.
Everything I was watching and enjoying so much in the last month or so everything has taken a backseat to The Mandalorian right now.
I think pop culture has taken a backseat. Right. So a couple of like more big picture things, like the effects. I don't know what the budget are for these. You probably do.
Well, the production as a whole on the whole series was $100 million.
It looks it. They spin it. Mm-hmm. It's on the screen.
Apparently, it's this new technology that is. A lot of it is they'll save money in the long run with this new technology where they're not really outside for most of this. Almost everything's green screen, they said.
But it doesn't look like the prequel trilogy.
Right. It's like
everything looked so flat.
Yeah, they've got some new technology that somebody was standing. I forget what it was. I listened to an interview where there was an executive that come out and stood on the stage they were filming in and did not know that it was not built sets. It was screen. And that's how good it was. It's like, that's amazing. So,
and to me, the puppetry, the practical effects are amazing. Like you said, the little hair blowing in the wind. Like, I don't know you can even get away with that in CGI.
Right.
And to me, thinking back to the original Yoda puppet, I had this thought watching it of that moment when Luke first meets him and he's silly and wacky. Yeah. And then that first second where he gets serious, he's like, that's never going to work. Like the way Yoda's face, that's like the best puppeteering in the history of the universe. Yeah. Like a latex puppet changes expressions and you get him, you hear what he's thinking through a puppet. I'm like, and like now we have little baby hands reaching out of cribs and like eyeballs and ears. Like it's so well done.
We got a title for the episode: eyeballs and ears.
I'm sure there's CGI touches here and there, but I'm not noticing them as much as I thought I would. So excellent. And I love. To me, like I said about Star Wars, it is the adventure. The original movie is the hero's journey. It is wizards and pirates and black knights and like it's an adventure story. It's a fantasy.
Right.
And then you introduce different races of aliens and different ships and like we've given them all names and backstories and origins and you just get bogged down in that stuff. And that's what the prequels were. We're answering all these questions that never really needed an answer. Mm-hmm. So this, to me, I don't know how it's doing both, where it's just a very simple story. It is just a Western. The first episode that he's in that dusty town, it looks like adobe buildings. He's shooting them off the rooftops. Oh, guys are clutching their chests and falling off the roof. Look, it's John Wayne right there. Mm-hmm. There's that shootout. He said rodeo. He rodeos the mud horn. Him. The chasing the sandcrawler is a stagecoach chase.
Yeah.
Him trying to get on the back, jump from stagecoach to stagecoach. The jailbreak when he frees the baby, it's like blowing up the side of a jail building and getting on your horse and ride. Like these are Western tropes played out in this giant universe. So it has changed genres, but it's also paying off the things we love about Star Wars,
like ice cream makers,
right?
Exactly. Without saying, You're alone. Let's call you Solo.
And we've seen a sandcrawler before. It sat there. It was just a big matte painting or whatever. And like now we see it in action and windows going up and it crawling and then knocking into the rocks and like Indiana Jones, all that stuff. It's in IG-88. You said it just sat there. Now we get to see it in action. It's realizing all the potential for all that stuff we imagined, but in a way that's not. Well, IG-88 was really built in this factory, like the stuff that doesn't matter.
Yeah,
it's leaving behind, and it's telling a very simple story in the best way possible for a fan like me. Right. And it seems like other more invested fans are loving it as well. Yeah. Long-term fans can't get enough of this. So, Filoni's Filoni's got it figured out. Never doubt Filoni.
Well,
my Filoni has a first name.
It's been a while since we dropped that.
Right. I think it was after the second episode, there was already rumors going about, they're, Lucasfilm, Disney is talking about including Jon Favreau and Filoni to be basically in charge of Star Wars almost, being the head of the story.
That is basically what they said. So, fine with me if this is an example of what we're getting.
Yeah. It,
but that also, there's an implicit thing that Star Wars the people who hate the prequels, or they hate Force Awakens, or they hate Last Jedi, that thing about it's too political, or it's too there's too much diversity, or whatever that Star Wars fandom, the more toxic side of things, this almost helps their argument, where it's like, this is just a simple story, there's no politics at all, it's just a good adventure, where like I don't know, I almost hoped for something to challenge that. Like you made some comment about him taking the mask off
if he was a girl. I would love for everybody to get sucked in and love this. And then, even though we know it's Pedro Pascal, I would love it if it took it off and it was a woman, and they would be exposed when they hate it, when they suddenly hate it.
Right.
But
it made me think of like what's the Dave Chappelle, like the Clayton Bigsby thing. Yeah. The guy's head explodes. I was like, like Yoda, he's going in for like a sex change operation, or something that completely throws things out of skew.
The doctor does call Baby Yoda she and he in that scene. Like almost like it could be a sexless being. Or that's the implication I got. Like, it's not like it is either.
But everyone has already committed saying this is excellent.
Or it's a hermaphrodite. Or we're going to have gremlins.
Oh, my God. Well, they better decide right now what bathroom it goes to, or they'll be hell to pay.
Yeah, so the fandom has spoken that this is quality.
Yeah.
So, unless something happens that turns that segment off.
Yeah, I had a similar thought, and it doesn't. This thing being something that I love and it's great so far doesn't diminish Last Jedi for me at all.
No, I love it all. That's why I'm just like, they keep putting out good stuff, even if it's totally different.
That's the argument I don't want to make. Like, this is how you do good Star Wars.
Right.
Not like that other Star Wars.
And I've heard that argument.
But to me, they're both great.
I totally agree.
I don't want it to...
Yeah, we're allowed to say whether, we could possibly like this more. But we like them both. We didn't have a problem with any of that.
Absolutely.
So I'm super psyched for Rise now.
Me too.
What else? We've talked the hell out of Mandalorian. What else did you watch on that?
Oh my gosh!
I watched the Jeff Goldblum show.
I watched the first episode.
I've watched all three.
That is the only other show I've watched on there.
Okay,
I've watched all three.
First episode was sneakers.
The World According to Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah,
it's about sneakers. The second episode is about ice cream, and the third episode is about tattoos.
Okay,
and he's hilarious.
Yeah, it's Jeff.
He knows what he's there for. He even says. He's like, apparently I have a childlike view. He just says exactly what they told him, like, this is what we want out of you.
Yeah.
And he's like, but it's just funny the way
It's not at all educational.
No.
I didn't really learn anything.
No.
But I loved every minute of it.
No, it's like he never heard of sneakers. He never heard of ice cream. He never heard of tattoos. It's just like, that's what it is.
Yeah, that's what it is. So
it's
almost like watching... I would compare it to like an episode of Sesame Street or something, like
Yeah.
a little kid discovering something, or even these stupid, hilarious Forky shorts.
Yeah.
You know, what is art? You know, I could see they could just input Jeff Goldblum instead of Forky in there.
Totally.
But yeah,
he's
he just has
the same thing. Yeah, so those are good. I also watched the first 3 episodes of Imagineering.
Yeah, this is my other jam right now. And it's just this series. I think it's great for folks that just don't know about this stuff.
Yeah.
They don't know about WED.
I sit there and watch it, and I think I'm getting a lot more out of this than Cliff is. Like I guarantee he already knows all this, but I'm like stuff I knew, obviously, but just exactly when things happened, and also the fact that there's a lot of footage that is pretty impressive.
That was what made me fall in love with it. Yeah. It's the restored footage from the 50s and 60s building Disneyland that I have never seen. Yeah. I mean, they pulled this stuff out of the vault.
I listened to an interview. I don't even know. Not purposefully, but at some point I listened to an interview with a woman that had a lot to do with making this.
Yeah.
I don't remember her name.
Irvine.
Probably. I don't know.
She's the director of
Okay, well, she was talking about how much stuff they had. Like, originally it was supposed to be just a movie, like a documentary. And then Disney Plus was announced. They were like, hey, what do you want us to do with this? And that they actually had to cut a bunch of stuff to keep it down to, I think, 6 episodes they're doing. But it was they tried to stop at certain points.
Yeah,
Walt dying.
They did a really good job with that. Episode 1, you get Walt starting WED or Imagineering, as it's known today.
That's a terrible name, WED.
Well, Walter Elias Disney.
I know, but I thought I was like, I remember hearing about that name before, and I thought that's stupid.
Yeah, WED Enterprises. Walt started as his side project. Yeah. It was a way for him to have something that Roy could not touch.
They did that at Nintendo also. I read that Console Wars a couple years ago or last year, and they had this whole different section that the guy was like, I just want to come over there and just play.
Yeah, and that's what it was. So they build Disneyland. That's basically the first episode. It like you said, it pretty much ends with the death.
Yeah.
And it was great, because we have to make this stuff now because there are so few of these people left. But, having Raleigh Crump and Bob Gurr and old footage from Marty Sklar, who passed away just 2-3 years ago. I love Marty Sklar. I was
Marty
wondering.
Sklar. I've watched him age over this documentary. And I was like, I wonder, that guy can't still be alive.
No, he's not. And the Sherman Brothers and people like that. But then highlighting Claude Coates and Mark Davis and Alice Davis, who was exactly.
That's me, Davis.
But yeah, all these Imagineers.
She's the center of the square.
Come on.
That people like Disney fans know and revere, that the general public just has no idea who they are or what they did. The Yale Gracies, and I could go on and on and on about these people. But that's episode 1, and it was touching. And I saw a lot of people were like, "Oh my gosh, I watched episode 1," and then when Bob Gurr is cracking up, trying to talk about when Walt died. Bob Gurr is like 90 years old, and just the effect that Walt had on these people's lives. And then you get episode 2, which is the Florida Project, Walt Disney World, Epcot, after what happened after Walt's death, Card Walker coming in, that group, Ron Miller. And then it kind of ends with they built Epcot and Tokyo Disneyland kind of at the same time. So this is the first international park, which was pretty much a copy of the other 2. Epcot was the majority of the story. I really enjoyed that. That was the Epcot I grew up with. That was my favorite park.
Yeah, I've been there. We went in 89, so it was well established by then.
But it still had that edutainment concept of it.
I just remember, the third episode they got into more like what it was like when I went there.
Yes.
With
Michael Eisner, Frank Wells.
Whose hair grew as the documentary went on.
Yeah.
You got a hair guy.
Yeah.
But
I was really surprised they did not mention Jeffrey Katzenmoyer at all. But I mean, I know he was running studios and wasn't Imagineering, but had a big part in the company.
It was good, and I was like, as soon as that episode started and it showed him, I was like, well, that explains MGM Studios. Like,
Yeah.
like that makes a lot of sense to me. You know,
They left some stuff out. Like Eisner knew that Universal Studios was planning a park already and had plans for it, and they rushed MGM into production to beat Universal to the punch. There's some story there that if you like this stuff, I would encourage anybody go on YouTube. There are tons of fan-made docs and interviews with Imagineers that you can get into more detail with.
I always like when he and who was the other guy with him?
Frank Wells.
I never heard of him.
Frank Wells, and they mentioned he died in a helicopter accident, and that's really because they were a tandem. It was Eisner and Wells.
When they announced them as running it, I was like, I just know when you deal with corporations and stuff, they put people in charge and they never know anything about what they're doing. Mm-hmm. Like they always like, we're coming in here and we're going to change everything. We're going to make it great. And we love you and stuff. And they don't know any of the hands-on stuff. Mm-hmm. So I'm always very skeptical of them. But you know, they really seem to get down and dirty. And
that was the whole thing. I remember the Disney decade when they did the massive expansion of hotels and stuff. But when Frank Wells, was killed, that's when things went downhill. Like immediately, Frank Wells kept him in check. They were a yin and yang situation. And they even mentioned it. It was for some people compared them to Walt and Roy. At some level, but that ushered in, very quickly, Eisner, we're going to find out, it went downhill and he was removed, and that's when Bob Iger was promoted and all that coming up.
Which I just want to mention, he did have you guys heard of Masterclass?
Yeah, Bob Iger's.
He did one. So his first lesson is when you take in a company, when you take over when you absorb a company, it's like, who is that helping? He has no perspective.
This is not something for the general public.
No,
this is something.
That's how they're able to afford these people. They've thrown a lot of money at them, but anyway, that's beside the point.
Yeah.
So is there anything else on there that you watch? I tried to watch the Pixar in real life, but it wouldn't. That's the only flub I've had with my Disney that didn't work. Was it hasn't let me start that one, but I'm sure I'll get to it.
I have not watched that. I've got it on my watch list. The only other thing.
I know what I watched.
What?
Just because I had not seen it, it's not anything real new, but that expanding the universe.
Oh, Marvel,
right? Where they? I
watched that.
That was good.
It was good.
I mean, I know it was just the announcements they made a couple months ago, but it was Kevin Feige coming out on stage and introducing everybody at a couple different cons or a couple of announcements, D23, I'm sure, and wherever else, and just bringing out the stars and basically announcing the slate, Falcon and Winter Soldier, WandaVision, Moon Knight, She-Hulk, Hawkeye. It's like, man, I was like, this is going to be great. This isn't going to be the Netflix shows that I don't care for. I didn't like all those. This is going to be like
more
closer to the movies.
Yeah, the cinematic universe.
I did like them, and I still agree with you. I think they're going to be heads and shoulders.
Going to be better. So that was very enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, I did watch.
It's only
that. I like that.
It's only 15 minutes.
Yeah, they were short. And I like that. I love that. Being able for me to go back and watch some of those old timey cartoon shorts that as a kid, I loved them and have not had access to them unless you really search on YouTube for years and years. But the original Mickey Mouse Club, the first week, it was on Monday through Friday, 1955. The first 5 episodes are up. I highly enjoyed it.
Guys, he's really...
I mean, it's amazing to go... I love watching little bits and pieces of the old TV original, from that time period, because it was just so in its infancy. Well, it was. I mean, you pull up, Mickey Mouse Club, 1955, a kid's show, and they've got warnings, coming up about cigarettes and stuff, and I was just like, oh my gosh, what a different time it was. But that, and I love in the search feature, the Disney through the decades, you can search by decade, 1930s on. For some reason, I don't think there's a decade left out. I think it was the 90s. It doesn't show up.
I don't know.
But anyways, I love that just going through.
The unspoken decade, is that what you're saying?
And then my wife. Yes. She started watching the Disney Nature movies that are more recent. When she goes to bed, because she's like, they're really relaxing. And we sat down in the living room with Carly the other night and watched one of them. It was called Born in China, and it was excellent.
She's never gonna have to go back to her room.
Never again. We just walled it off.
Yeah.
Now, do you read to her the warnings
About cigarettes?
about cultural changes?
No, we really
have
don't.
you had that talk with her that there are some.
She picks
What?
up.
What are you talking about? There was warnings about something.
So, on Dumbo, there's a warning that
Yeah.
I don't know exactly.
Outdated cultural
References,
stereotypes
yeah.
and references. And to me, that's the best way to do it.
I agree.
Call it out, say we get it, but not censor it or edit it.
They
or
need
try
to totally
fix it.
I think I retweeted somebody. This was the best idea. It was his daughter, actually. Leonard Maltin. Mm-hmm. Hire Leonard Maltin to announce, to preface Song of the South, give a little speech beforehand like you would on TCM or something, and just say, "Here's the deal," and then you can watch it. That's all they need to do.
That's all. They've built so much stigma around it. It's
like
way worse than it really is. Yeah.
Have him, put it into perspective.
To me, you do not need to go back and change the shotguns for walkie-talkie. Like, we don't need to soften the things. They existed. They're pieces of art. They're pieces of a. They're of a time. It happened.
Unless
I did watch something that showed the rare rabbit, rare fox scene. What was I watching today? It was something on Disney Plus, but they were showing a clip from that.
Oh, it was when they
was in the Imagineering.
Yeah, Splash Mountain.
Yeah, they were showing Splash Mountain. That's right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Now, we didn't mention this when we were talking about Star Wars, the Maclunkey line. Which,
I have to stop the presses. There's literally all this stuff we've talked about. The best thing I saw all week was your comment on Facebook.
I literally
it wouldn't let me share it, or I shared it on the Ka-Pow page. It was everything that I care about in one post. It was so good.
To me, the day this happened, everything was Star Wars Baby Yoda Maclunkey. Like, I just saw meme after meme. I'm like, the memes have been the meme well is dry. And here it is, like a week later, and I had seen somebody had cut Reservoir Dogs. The final scene, they've got the Mexican standoff, which is a cultural stereotype that is an outdated.
Yeah,
reference.
I can't believe you said that.
So let's put that at the beginning. But all the guns are pointed at each other. You're like, don't point that gun at my dad!
Right.
Maclunkey! 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 Punky!
I knew it. As soon as you said that, I was like, does he hear himself?
Maclunkey!
Okay. Maclunkey Brewster.
So I had seen that like a week.
We have 2 titles for this episode.
Maclunkey.
You have to call it Maclunkey Brewster. I don't care. That's the best. Go on. Sorry, that was good.
No, but I've seen memes and jokes and references, and I thought
I'm riveted to the origin.
I don't even know where the thought came from. I'm like, that scene is just like Pulp Fiction. 2 people sitting across a table from each other, quoting Ezekiel 25:17.
Maclunkey. Just
like, you read the Bible solo, not regularly. There's this passage I got memorized. Maclunkey.
That's what's the best about it, is it's a passage that is one word.
Like, I never gave much thought as to what it meant. I just thought it was some cold-blooded stuff
so
to say.
perfect.
Yeah, it's
nobody knows
perfect. And I googled, I tried to find somebody had done it on YouTube, or I googled.
Yeah, you're like, did I just pull
I
this
think
off?
I invented
Have
it.
I pulled up the crime of the century?
I googled Greedo Jerry curl. Like I'd hoped somebody had put Jules' hair on Greedo. So somebody needs
There's
to
a Jar Jar out there.
there's more. Somebody needs to put a visual or audio.
You should
this,
let
but I can't.
that if you let people share that, it'd be viral right now. That was so good. I loved it.
Oh.
Anyway, let's wrap this up.
Yeah.
We love Disney Plus. We're thrilled about it. I guarantee if in another month we'll be telling y'all what we thought about the rest of that Mandalorian series.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think there's only 9 episodes, I think.
I don't
But next year we'll
Yeah.
be getting more of this Marvel stuff we were talking about. So
and more Star
I'm
Wars
psyched.
too. I mean, the Cassian Andor and the Obi-Wan and all that.
Obi-Wan I'm super psyched about.
Oh my gosh.
I'm excited. It's a success so far for me.
Absolutely.
Amen. Thanks, Walt. My name is Jordan Lowe. Are we signing out? Or
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is the way.
I've spoken. Bye forever.
Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast, is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Sounds, music, and clips played during the podcast are property of copyright holders. All original content is property of www.udownwithkpp.com.
Miss Mitchell,
Maclunkey.
he wants to be with me. I want to be with
Maclunkey.
I'm going to court to get custody. I'm not going to give up without a fight.
Way to go, Henry! I know. I'll make a list.
Stay calm. You'll work it out.
By the way, do you have any plans this afternoon?
No?
Then let's go to Disney World. I think it's in Florida. Someplace.